Well, a safe haven for people at their lowest points, the Gangsters for Jesus ministry has become a worldwide phenomenon, but it started right here in an alley behind the Opportunity Center for the Homeless. Now, Arco Paso's Bella Dillman spoke with the founder, Gangster preacher Isaiah Blancas, and he actually says that just 9 years old, he thought that he would either end up dead or in jail for the rest of his life until someone believed in him.
Well, I started doing juvenile time when I was 9 years old here in Paso Texas at off of Delta, the D home. And so yeah, that's when my life of crime started. My dad had ended up leaving with my aunt when I was 9 years old, and my mom kicked me out in the streets of a rough area called the Jackie Robinson Projects.
An unlikely start to a career in the church, Pastor Isaiah has touched many lives, being featured on the television program 700 Club and touring internationally to bring a message. But some places he's been invited to, he can't travel to. That's due to his criminal record. A cycle of crime he says he wouldn't have stopped without help.
And talk about kind of the importance of having a community to turn to when you are in that cycle of crime.
It's vital. For me, I had a chaplain. She passed away not too long ago. Her name was Gina Montes. And she's the one that preached to me in the system. I had no plans or intentions of changing my life or knowing who God was, to be honest. Actually, I was gonna go mock the preacher. You know, I was down for what I believed in, which was nothing. And I believed I was gonna die in prison or die a brutal, violent death, getting murdered. And I knew that was my outcome, and I had accepted it. I'll go out and go to church because I was sick of being in that room. I was sick of counting my cinder blocks in my cell. They were pointing at me though before I walked in, and I remember she told me later on, they were all saying, "That's Güero, that's a guy that beats us up, that scares us, that takes stuff from us." One time a guy had shot dope in the dorm areas, and there was big windows and you could see through those windows. And he was ODing, he was dying. And Gina was banging on this metal door, and they opened the door for her, and she was holding this guy crying, you know, and praying for him. And I was sitting on the chair looking at her, and I was thinking, like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just another dead fool. Like, that's our life. That's what we signed up for. After that, it really made me think a lot. And then I came to the point where I said, you know what? This lady really loves people like me.
But now, he's the one providing the support. He started Church in the Alley 4 years ago. Now setup includes sweeping drug paraphernalia out of the alleyway that's spray painted for the church. And the service sometimes have unscheduled interruptions. When I attended, someone in the alley opposite of the service was taken away in an ambulance. Pastor Isaiah says that's all part of helping those who need it most.
We have seen so many miracles and so many stories that come from Church in the Alley here in El Paso, where people have broken their crack pipes, where people have got off heroin, where people have, you know, stopped doing drugs or stopped being alcoholics, or all these different things. Reunited with their families, you know, running rehabs, running churches, you know, doing stuff like this.
Becoming counselors.
Yeah, counselors, all types of different things. So
people from all walks of life make their way into the alley. Children with their parents, teachers, and current and former unhoused individuals. I spoke with a resident over at the Opportunity Center that says Gangsters for Jesus has helped him immensely, even though he's still living at the center.
Been off and on in the game, drug dealing, being a middleman, you know what I'm saying, and went to prison, and I sat there for 5 years the first time, and the second time I went for 4 years, and the next time I went for 5 years, and I got out, and I'm doing a lot better now. I've been here 2 months, and I've gone to the Gangsters for Jesus, to their gatherings and stuff they have in the alley, and it's been helping me very much.
I heard testimonies from ministry members that detailed their stories of living on the streets, selling drugs, doing drugs, and finding hope at the church. Something that one of the pastors says happens because they're accepted there.
Talk about overcoming, things that happen to us as children, as young adults, as adults, We came to the alley because a lot of the people or the residents here will not be going to church, or sometimes they feel like they're not accepted in a church, in four walls. So, we came to them, to give them the word and to love them.
Well, such an inspiration story right there. So Church in the Alleyway actually takes place every Sunday, rain or shine, again, right behind that Opportunity Center for the Homeless. Now, after service, the women of that ministry actually serve food, and they oftentimes cook it themselves, and they're serving that food to people whether they attended that service or not. Now, to learn more about Pastor Isaiah's story, you can actually read his book. We're going to scan that QR code right there on your screen, and you will find a copy.